Thomsen. Chris?
In Gus's offense, how are tight ends different as far as different positions, what they're asked to do, the variety of things that they have to understand?
Yeah, it's pretty similar, in some ways to what we did, but different in others. But you'll see them in all the different spots. I mean, you'll see them in the backfield playing kind of a hybrid fullback tight end type role, and then we'll get in 12 personnel and attach a guy and still have a guy in the backfield, and then you'll see him out in the slot some. I think as we evolve and progress, we've been pretty healthy, so we hadn't had to go out into the slot as much. So, but yeah, I mean, it's really, I mean, today they lined up in every spot, outside and spread, inside, really in almost every spot on the field, and asked to block at a high level and then run routes like a receiver and catch the ball. So similar stuff.
Yeah. With Bryson hopping into your room, how soon was that a conversation for you guys? And just what does he bring to you? Is he a guy that you found actually has some hands? Is he purely going to be used in run sets? You don't have to give all away the secrets, but what's he like in your room?
Yeah, I mean, you want every tight end to be able to do both at a high level. Some of them are going to be better at the run game, some of them at the pass. He'll obviously be better at the run game. He's showed the ability to have some ball skills, but obviously at his size and background, he'll be more of a blocking type player, and we'll use him in different roles. But he's done a good job, honestly, in what we've asked him to do the first 4 days. Like the last couple of days, he's gotten more involved, and I've been impressed with just his ability to pick up the offense and transition to a new position. So he's done a really good job.
All right.
You guys recruited Randy, obviously. What has he turned out to what you guys thought he would be? More different?
Yeah, he's what I thought he would be. I watched him play. I joke with him all the time. I probably watched him play more than any player I've ever watched. I mean, because we started recruiting him so early when we got here, and I watched him play football 3 or 4 times, basketball probably 2 or 3 times at least. And so I had a good feel for what, we thought he would be, and Coach Norvell always really liked him, and, just knew he was a football player. He's just a guy that can do a lot of things. He understands football. He likes the physicality of it. He's become a really good route runner. His first 2 years in college, he developed, really well as a route runner and a blocker. And so he's about what I thought he would be. He's a guy we really wanted, and glad we got him, on the backside.
When you look at the collective of your group, what stands out about it? What do you like about the group that you have in totality?
Just a really good group of athletes and great group of people, and they're working hard at it. And then just like I said, there are varying skill sets. Some of those guys are a little bigger type guys that maybe handle the running game a little bit more, but they're really all asked to do it all, and they're doing it, at a good level. We've got some depth, and what stands out the most to me is you have 4 guys there who've made plays in college games against good competition, whether it was last year Landon and Amari playing, against Clemson or Florida or Notre Dame, and those guys going out and competing. Randy at his previous school, a lot of great experience, and then Mark Houston's made a lot of plays over his career. So that's kind of rare in the portal era, where people try to find experienced players on other rosters and try to grab them. For us to have guys that have actually been out in it and not afraid of that moment, that's the biggest thing for us. Just nobody panics, veteran group,
Coach, you have some bigger guys now with Randy and Mark Houston, and Landon's got an extra year of strength and conditioning. Bryson too. Can blocking be a strength of this group? And I know it's early, you haven't scrimmaged.
Yeah.
But what can you see so far?
No, I think blocking definitely be a strength, and Coach Malzahn, we're going to run the football, and they're used to, they've been doing that all spring, and it's similar to what we did, but I do think that group, we expect them to block at a high level this year, and you add Amari into that mix. Landon and Amari both have gotten bigger and stronger, obviously, with a year of development. So, whatever role he ends up playing, we fit him in. But yeah, we got some guys that I believe can handle themselves really well in the run game.
Chase Lofton's a kid that you liked in the spring and said made a good transition. How has that carried over to now in the preseason?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, he's, in the summer we had him kind of learn the slot. That's the nice thing about the summer practices now that you used to not be able to get. So the whole spring he played tight end. We let him kind of learn the slot position in the summer, and now he's comfortable with both. So I think he can bring a lot of value as we go through the season, and being able to find a role and fit in. That'll still continue to evolve, but he's continued to do all the things that we saw him do in the spring.
With Amari, we know in the spring he was working on the D-line, getting back to start practice. Just where have you seen his skill set grow, and how's it been kind of managing both sides of the ball?
Yeah, that's good. It's kind of like Chase playing a couple of positions. I mean, Amari, last fall, tight end, spring, more defense, summer, again, you get to kind of combo it, and where you can, that's a tough thing to do, especially when you're closer to the ball like that. But his growth, really more just the physical. Like, he's a big dude. Like this time last year, 215 pounds on a good day. After practice, he was probably 210. Have to go eat to get. Now he's holding 230 plus, 235. Like, that's the biggest thing, just the physical growth and development. He looks to me like he's still kept his ability to run routes and he made an adjustment on a ball today, and then goes over and plays defense and does all the things. So it's going to be fun to see how that evolves and how his role grows over the season.
Given the varied skill sets of the tight end room, you mentioned the 4 guys with experience plus Chase as well.
Yeah.
Is the preference to use all 4 or 5 of those guys in different ways, or would you rather have a truncated room? Have you guys thought ahead of how you're going to juggle all the depth in the room?
Yeah, I mean, once we get, we're 4 weeks away from game day. Once you kind of get closer to game day, you'll start to specialize maybe a little bit more. Like, hey, these 2 guys are more the attached inline guys. These guys may be more the 3-back position in the backfield. This guy might go out in the slot some. Well, right now it's kind of learn it all, process it all, and then, when we get close to the game, we will start to specialize roles probably a little bit more. But what happens is you want to specialize. So, hey, you 2 guys are going to be the attached tight end. You 2 are going to be the 3-back, and all of a sudden somebody goes down in a game and it's chaotic. So try to have them all learn all of it. So if attached tight end has to go back in the backfield, he has a good idea still of what he's doing. And so we still try to keep it all general, but then game plan wise, we'll start to get a little more specific.
Coach Norvell made a comment a couple weeks ago about last year he felt like you guys had to do a lot of team building things to try to get some of the chemistry and camaraderie. He felt like this year you haven't had to force it as much. Can you get a feel in the offseason of what a team's personality is going to be like during the season, and what have you seen about it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like for me personally, like with how much we have to recruit and go on the road, like we're around the guy. We're not around them in January that much because we're on the road as assistants. February we get around them, then spring ball, but then we go back on the road in May. We're around them some in the summer, but not all the time. So I'm just now, where I'm around them every day in a lot of hours, and I sense that they are a good, I sense that they're trying to come together and develop that chemistry, and but I sense they enjoy playing together. There's a lot of new faces, a lot of guys trying to connect, but I sense that they do, and so and training camp's huge for that. Like, training camp's a lot of suffering, honestly. Like, we're putting them in situations where it's hot, it's hard, and so that kind of creates that, hey, come together, and so I think that'll even accelerate more. But I do sense, a good start with that for sure.
You've been around Coach Norvell forever. And most people say that he's still been the same guy he's always been. But what have you seen from him that's gotten better, that's made the program better here recently?
Yeah, recently, like, in more of a CEO role, he's able to coach all the coaches more. When you're running the offense and you're the head coach, you're trying to see the big picture, but you also know you got to handle things on the offensive side. And so, you know, we have tremendous leadership on both sides. I mean, Coach Malzahn, Coach White, and then everybody else in support in those roles, JP and special teams. So I think Coach has a high trust level of everyone and feels comfortable with everyone. So I'm noticing now, like, I'm getting coached a little bit more than, you know, and I always got coached on the offensive side by him. You know, hey, I need this, I want that. But it's probably a little bit more broad, more spread out. Hey, I need this at this position. You know, and you know, and I think that's good. I think that's helpful, and I think the accountability is really high when you have a head coach and a CEO role with everything. And it, you know, all the stuff off the field with juggling roster and all those things, I think it allows him to focus on those things a little bit more. I think it's been good. I think it's been a really good transition for him. It'll help us.
We've asked players a lot, like during the spring, to transitioning to new schemes and kind of what they've had to do to learn that. But for you as a coach, I know there's some similarities between what us and Mike have done. Like, how much work did you have to put in the offseason, learning different terminology, things like that? What's that like for a coach?
Yeah, that's a good question. It is different. It's you know, it's kind of one of those deals where you're at a school the 6th year and you're comfortable with everything, but here comes a new system. And it's not so much the system. Some of it is learning what plays are called and things like that, but more learning what that person wants. You know, how does he want it done? What does he want? Coach Malzahn's a phenomenal teacher. He's done it for a long time, done it at a high level, so he can teach it and convey it at a really high level, so it's not hard to understand. So then it's just, and what he does a great job of also is not just teaching the information, but teaching and coaching the players on how we're going to act, how we're going to, you know, communicate in the game, how, you know, the sideline, what he wants that looking like. So we've all got to help him and support him in that. And, you know, so for me, it's been great. Like, you know, I enjoyed greatly working when we had the room like it was for 5 years. And, but then, you know, not only Coach Malzahn, but Tim and Herb, you know, those guys being able to come in and, hey, right as the meeting breaks, this is what he needs. You know, they might be cleaning something up to help us adjust, and those guys have been great in helping us pick it up as well. So I think the chemistry is not just the players; it's the coaching chemistry that has to evolve and develop as well. That's something that's probably underrated and unknown. But again, Coach Malzahn being able to come in and bring that room together, you're seeing that evolve and develop as well in a really good way.
Landon was kind of thrown into a tough role last year, just being a true freshman.
Right.
Tight end that played a lot. How much better can he be this year? What is his ceiling, and what kind of leap can he make?
Yeah, he can be a lot better. I mean, he was thrown into, you know, that SMU game at the end, and then I started him against Clemson, and I did that because I've watched him since he was young. You know, I know that the tougher the competition, the more he rises up to it. So I wasn't worried about putting him in those spots. But he's got a high ceiling, and he can, you know, he's still got a lot of room to grow. He has developed a lot since the winter, just in terms of just his body growing, and that's the biggest thing for any freshman. Him and Amari they both are in a different spot physically, and so I think, you know, the sky's the limit for him as well, just like Amari.
Coach, what is something that you really picked up from the tight end going against the defense, the 3-3-5 defense, and what's just nothing out, just being competitive with the 3-3-5?
3-3-5 is tough. I mean, it's different. There's a lot of moving parts there. You know, they're not just lining up in one spot, you know, and coached against it before, you know, so I'm comfortable with it. But it does create some unique challenges communication-wise with the tight ends and the offensive line, you know, because, you know, a guy may be in a different spot between the tight end and tackle, you know, that they're not used to. And instead of him being inside the tackle, he might be outside the tackle. And so that's a whole different fit for a combination block. And then all of a sudden you get comfortable with that. Now he's moving, here comes a linebacker. You know, it's tough. It's a reason Tony's been so good. And, you know, been so productive wherever he's been. So it's a challenge for us, and you know, we do have times in practice where we practice against a little more base defense because, you know, we'll see a little bit more of that during the season. But I like this stuff. I like the challenge of players having to, the guys not just lining up in the same spot every time. They have to it's challenging them to communicate, see the big picture a little bit better, play a little bit faster, and talk, you know. So it's been good going against that.
The first 11 period of your guys' day, usually it was like period 3, it was like an end of game, hurry up, where you guys would do goal line. How would you kind of characterize that period today? Did you guys score, or did the defense hold you?
Do you talk about today's result?
Yeah.
Trying to think back on it. That was 3 hours ago, but because that stuff moves fast. We always do end that with a live field goal. You know, there was a couple of things there that I think there was a little miscommunication there. Probably a result of the 3-3-5, something moving a little bit. Sometimes you don't have time before that period, like. And I remember this as an O-line coach. If you don't get some time before that period to kind of fit up some of those things, and tight ends too, you know, I think we let a guy run through on one of those where, you know, that's designed to get guys going, get their blood going, get them awake. You know, Chip Kelly, I think, started that a long time ago at Oregon, where, because used to, you kind of built for about 8 periods before you ever went against anybody, and so that's like, get them warmed up, take them through a few things, and then period 3, let's go. And it kind of gets them, you know, and we probably some things we got to clean up there for next time.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good day.